Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance Channel's Romance Roundup, your #1 source for romance book recs and book-to-screen recap reviews. I am Liz Donatelli.
And I'm Libby K., author of the romance series Pine Grove FD. Book 4 comes out in June.
Watch and subscribe to Reader Seeks Romance Channel on YouTube, and listen and subscribe to Romance Roundup on PodBean and all podcast apps. Follow us on Instagram at LibbyKAuthor and at Reader Seeks Romance. Libby and I are thrilled to welcome Jayne Krentz, author of over 50 consecutive New York Times bestsellers. As Jayne Krentz, she writes contemporary romantic suspense. She also writes futuristic and sci-fi romance under Jane Castle and historical romance under Amanda Quick. Welcome to Romance Roundup, Jayne Krentz.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here.
And we're excited to have you here.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned in the intro, Amanda Quick, and I have to say that was my introduction to your work as Amanda Quick. And in my younger, naive days, when I didn't realize that authors had pen names, I was like, wow, what a cool name, Amanda Quick. Like, how do you get lucky enough to be born with a cool name that's also can be an author name? So is there an interesting story behind the choosing of Amanda Quick as a pen name?
Well, in that case, I just went into the local bookstore and checked out the romance section. And at the time, there was nobody writing under the name Q. So I like to take credit for having opened up the entire shelf to Julia Quinn and a few of the a few others with my choice. But speaking of good names, I actually had a pretty good birth name, Jane Castle.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost it along the way due to business reasons, bad contracts, that kind of thing, for a while. And by the time I got it back, I had already established my married name, Jayne Krentz, and Amanda Quick. So I held it in reserve until I decided to try the futuristic romance again. And I say again because the first couple times I tried it, it killed my career. So.
Oh, wow.
How is that possible?
Believe me, it's possible. 20 years ago, there was no market for futuristic romance or fantasy as we know it today at all. So
yeah,
there's a lesson there. It's as bad to be too far ahead of the curve as it is to be behind it.
I was going to say you were ahead of your time, which it's a blessing and a curse.
Not a good thing. Not a good thing.
Wow. There's so much already that I feel like we need to ask a ton more questions, Libby. So,
well, I can tell you that while we're on the subject, my
Yeah.
tip of the day, my PSA out there for any aspiring writers is whatever you do, don't use pen names.
Oh, no.
Okay, because Libby
I
is
used
not her
one.
real name.
Yeah,
The risk, Libby, and I mean, go for it, but the risk is it's so hard to build another brand.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, the social media is so crowded right now that having 2 or 3 names it's a lot of upkeep.
I bet. Yeah, I bet. I mean, I won't spoil my questions, but yeah, I was curious how you balanced all of that. Being one person is complicated enough.
Well, you will notice that the futuristic, it now says Jayne Krentz writing as Jane Castle.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a desperate effort to clue readers in.
Wow.
The Amanda Quick name built up on its own back in the day before social media was a thing. So that one's been okay. And the same with Jayne Krentz. But with Jane Castle, they added the little advisory, reader's advisory.
Wow. Wow. This is turning into almost like a little scandalous interview here. We got some behind the scenes. You're already telling us like what not to do. I love it. So now I feel as if I don't even need the icebreaker question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Jayne, you've done many interviews over the years. Which question haven't you been asked in an interview, or which question do you wish you'd been asked?
Well, the question I always wish I am asked is, do you have a website?
Oh, really? Okay. Well, then, Libby, do you want to take that one?
Yes, Jayne, do you happen to have a website?
I do happen to have a website, and it's janeannkrentz.com. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. And that for anyone who isn't familiar, it's JayneAnnKrentz.
Yeah, let's complicate it.
Wow. Well, I'm glad I asked that question. Congratulations on the release of your new romantic suspense, The Shop on Hidden Lane.
Thank you.
So you're very welcome. How does The Shop on Hidden Lane fit into the Jayne verse? And can you tell us about the romance protagonists, Sophie and Luke?
The Jayne verse sort of materialized without me realizing it a few years ago. My editor's the one that pointed it out, because I kept wanting to play in the same universe, but I wanted different storylines and different characters and different settings. And I think every author who is in the business long enough, knowingly or unknowingly, builds their own universe.
Yeah.
And that's where they want to go. That's where they keep the compelling themes and the elements that attract them to write in the first place. And if you try to do something too different and outside your universe, chances are you're going to lose your power. Because you're called to write certain kinds of themes and emotional conflicts. And Libby, I'm sure you know that. You want to go back to them again and again because that's where the mystery is for you. That's where the excitement is for you. That's where the energy is. And I think over time that becomes your universe. And it's just a good thing to know for an author because once you know that and you realize that your writing is not tied to a specific fictional landscape, you don't have to do vampires. You don't have to do witches. You don't have to do historical romance, blah, blah, blah. You take your themes and your conflicts, you can take them into any genre. And once you know that as a writer, I think it frees you up in a lot of ways.
So, Jayne, as a writer, do you have a way to kind of get into to keep your voice, but get into those separate headspaces as Amanda Quick, Jayne Ann Krentz, or or with Castle? Like, how do you do that and keep your consistent voice?
I don't know. I don't actually see the differences that other people tell me. And I think it's a bit deceptive because the landscape, the fictional landscape gives you the feeling that everything else is different too, and it's not really. I'm still doing romantic suspense. I'm still doing my kinds of heroes and heroines. I'm still doing my kind of humor, for better or for worse. And the only thing that really changes, as far as I'm concerned, are the plots. And I can do different kinds of plots against different kinds of backgrounds. I suppose because the dialogue of the historicals is a little different. It sounds a little different, but it's just me.
Right.
trying to translate it into a more stilted kind of English, or in the case of the 1930s novels, that kind of sassy Hollywood repartee from the 1930s movies.
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
that just comes naturally. I don't think it's anything to think about. The biggest problem probably for me is the humor, because humor is the one thing that not everybody gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not everybody responds, and I couldn't write any other way. It's part of my natural voice. But it can be a limitation on a career too.
Interesting. Now, with the 1930s voice, huge classic movie fan. Do you ever like watch certain actors or movies to kind of get into that headspace?
Yeah, it was great research. All those 1930s movies are so much fun to watch, especially when you're doing it with an ear for the dialogue. Or in my case, there were questions that would come up that were not easily researchable.
Oh.
For example, I wanted to know if you could take a phone call out by the pool at the Beverly Hills Hotel in the 1930s. Could you answer a phone out there? And the answer is yes. What happens is somebody calls the front desk, and a page comes out with the phone and plugs it into the wall next to your lounger.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it.
And you get that out of a movie because nobody ever wrote that down in a history book that I could find.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and you're a librarian, so you would know how to research.
So the movies are great. All the clothes, the dialogue.
Mhm.
Some of the dialogue is interesting because we think it, if you look it up, it doesn't show up in the dictionaries as having been in use during that period, but it
Oh,
was, words that the problem the problem is because everybody else thinks they weren't in use, is that somebody's liable to accuse you of what do you call it, putting the wrong date, the wrong era for that
Right.
yeah.
language. So it's
Yeah.
kind of tricky, but yeah, it's fun to pick up in the movies what the details that you can't really find easily elsewhere.
So, the shop on Hidden Lane, can you tell us a little bit about the feuding families, their feuding psychic families, and a little bit about the conflict that Sophie and Luke have to overcome?
Well, these two families were united in a way 4 generations back when the great grandfathers both worked for a clandestine government lab. And in the course of the clandestine government lab, which was hastily shut down, they vowed to protect one of the secret weapons that had been developed in that lab because it must not be allowed to drop into the wrong hands, right? And it's a paranormal weapon. So it's been locked up for years. Meanwhile, the two great grandfathers they were great friends, but they made the life-changing error of trying to go into business together.
Yeah.
And that's where the rivalry came from. It all went bad. It all went bad. And so the families haven't really trusted each other ever since. But now, 4 generations later, our characters discover that the the weapon has gone missing. And the pact that was agreed to 4 generations back is that they'll do whatever they can to retrieve it. It can't be allowed to go into the wrong hands. So our hero and heroine, one from each family, are forced to work together. So we have forced proximity.
Always popular.
And a dog. There's a dog.
Yes, Bruce. Bruce. Yeah.
Bruce the dog, yeah. So they're forced to work together, and it quickly becomes a situation where they really can't trust anyone else. But at least they know each other's families. So they have, that's all they've got going for them, is the fact that they have to trust each other in order to survive, because things turn very dangerous. They end up at a strange art colony in the Red Rock country of Arizona, Vortex country, as we
Yes.
call it out here. Yeah. One of the questions I always do get asked is, well, do you believe in the psychic thing yourself? And my answer is, I don't know. The parallel I use is music. When you think about music, it's sound waves coming off a stage or a record or something,
Yeah.
but it has such a dramatic effect on our emotions. Now, how is that possible when you think about it? Why would music stimulate us to dance or make us cry or put us to sleep or bore us? Or, I mean, the range make us feel patriotic. It's just got a range of emotions, and people really respond. And yet it's just sound waves, people.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
That's
how do you
true.
describe something like that? Short of, there's a psychic vibe to music.
Yeah.
Right. Right. I think for the purpose of promoting the book that you should just say, yeah, I believe in it. I
Okay.
believe in it.
Well, I'll tell you what, every mother says they've had a moment.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes. Well, yeah, I very much believe in psychic abilities and psychic phenomena. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I'm not closing the door on that one. And leave us not forget that this book hinges for its plots basically on this government lab, and the government
Right.
lab was real.
Oh.
The CIA poured untold millions into psychic research in the 20th century.
Oh.
From roughly World War II on.
Right.
And they were looking for mind control. They were looking for psychic spies. They were looking for far seeing, over the horizon kind of thing.
Mhm.
and who knows what else. And they poured a lot of money into it. And the only reason it came to a halt, and it didn't come to a halt until the 1970s, really. And how do we know it stopped then, right?
It's true.
Right.
But the only reason it came to a halt is generally agreed that Congress, word got it out, the newspapers ran with it, and Congress got embarrassed because they were funding psychic research.
Right.
The woo-woo thing. A lot of name brand universities certainly were.
Right.
Duke was, Stanford was doing research in dreams, that kind of thing. It was taken quite seriously. And the reason it was taken quite seriously is because we knew the Russians were taking it quite seriously.
Right. Yeah.
There was a real arms race going on there.
Yeah.
They were inventing cameras that could take pictures of auras, and that kind of thing. So.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
That's interesting.
When I open up the plot doors, I don't have to invent anything. It just comes tumbling out. You can't make this stuff up.
Right. Right. Over the weekend, I watched and very much enjoyed Harlequin's movie adaptation of your romantic suspense, The Waiting Game, originally published in 1985. It stars Chris Potter, who was a dish back in the day. And Libby, I think if you saw his picture, you'd recognize him.
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah. Chandra West and Paula Abdul. All in The Waiting Game. Yeah. So I noticed that the plot of the movie is actually very different than the plot of the book.
You noticed that, did you? And they also managed, for the half a second that my name is on screen, they managed to spell it wrong. So all in all, it was not.
Jeez. Okay, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that immediately caught my attention, that it's spelled Jane. And I said, I have to ask Jayne what she thinks about that, or if there's a story. And I said, I don't want to embarrass her, but you mentioned it. So let's just say it did not become the Bridgerton franchise. It did. So I actually thought it was really good. But then when I read what the book is about, I'm like, oh, the book would have been much better. The classic line. The classic line, yeah. Well, so, I think one of the problems was that as I recall, the key to the spy thriller part of that thing involved microfilm, right? Microfilm, yeah, in the book. Oh, in the book, I'm not certain. I know in the movie, it was paperwork that exonerated the uncle. Totally changed the story, yeah. Right. Yeah. And it was set with an art studio, was an art gallery, and it was interesting. Like, I thought it was really exciting to watch. But then, like I said, when I read the plot, and a number of your fans also commented on how it wasn't anything like it. Now, this was back in 1998 that this was adapted. So there was the big clunky computers and stuff like that. Yeah. But so I was going to ask, what did you think of the adaptation? Which I guess you pretty much answered. And which of your books would you like to see adapted to the screen, or would you not prefer to have anything adapted to the screen? Because I believe that was the only one that was adapted. Yeah. So are you just not is that just not your thing? Are you not too interested? Let's just say that Hollywood never came calling again. Oh, okay. Netflix, if you're listening, I'm here. Yeah, I would imagine that something could get worked out, because Netflix in particular is just loving adapting the book to the romance book to screen stuff. So from your lips. I wish I knew somebody, Jayne. I wish I knew somebody. Well, let's say if it were to happen, is there a particular title that you would just be thrilled to have made into a Netflix original movie? I like this one. I like The Shop on Hidden Lane. I think it's got a lot of elements that would work well in film, and including the weird art colony. That would give it a different kind of vibe, and it uses modern technology in ways, light technology, physics of light, that I think could be interesting, have interesting side effects. So. Yeah, I agree. I could see this as a series, like a Maybe they could stretch it out a couple of seasons as Netflix is wont to do. They'll just make like 5 seasons and then they just start going off book. But yeah, anybody casting wise for Sophie and Luke?
No,
Anything?
unfortunately, I just don't know the modern actors. I've never been much of a film buff. I like them, but I don't follow them, if you know what I mean. I
Yeah.
read. So,
Right. Okay. Well, I think
yeah.
they should bring back Chris Potter. I believe he's in his I think he's might be in his 60s. Let's put him in. Get Chris
Okay.
Potter back.
An older
And
hero.
Chandra West, I think and Paula Abdul. Bring them all back.
They could probably all use the jobs now, right? I mean,
They probably could. They probably could.
I just have to say, Jayne, that I was a public librarian for almost 15 years.
Yay.
And James Patterson and Amanda Quick were the only two where the holds lists were so crazy. We would almost have fistfights at the circulation desk. So it's a
Wow.
pleasure to talk to you because the Libby of 15 years ago remembers like little sweet senior citizens having fistfights over the large print copies of Amanda Quick books. So that's a very vivid memory of my time in public library. So I just had to share
Great.
that with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, you're welcome.
Who says life doesn't get dramatic in a library?
Oh my gosh. There's a reason I work for a different type of library right now. The drama is a lot. Obviously, we have talked about your various pen names, and I was curious as a writer, do you have a separate routine when you kind of get into the headspace of the different pen names since they're different types of subgenres?
When I'm in one, but I don't move easily back and forth between them. I don't try to write 2 books at the same time. And if I get pulled out of the book I'm in, I don't stop thinking about it. I just keep thinking about it, even if I can't be at the typewriter, even if I can't be at the computer. Can't walk and chew gum at the same time. But the thing is, when I'm working on a story, I'm just obsessed with so many elements of it. I don't have room in my head for the other stories. I don't even think about them. But I will say that when I'm done with this book, when I've finished with a manuscript, I really like it's very refreshing for me to move into another landscape.
Okay. Kind
As
of
a
reset
writer,
your brain a little.
yeah, as a writer, it has done me good. It
Mhm.
has been useful because it keeps me fresh. Because I'm basically been writing for most of my career through 3 very different fictional plot landscapes, and that's been
Yeah.
very helpful.
How long on average, and I'm sure it varies, does it take you to write one book, no matter who you're writing as?
Yeah, about 4 months. That's just
Oh, wow.
every writer has a pattern. Every writer has a pace, I guess you would say.
Mhm.
And that's been mine from the beginning.
Are your publishers understanding of having the different, mindsets and with their scheduling, or has that been something you've had to battle over the years?
No, we talk it through.
Nice.
So because they do have their issues too with the scheduling and art department and all that good stuff. You know how that goes. So
Yeah.
so but everybody's always been very accommodating. It hasn't ever really been that much of an issue.
Is there a certain must have like when you're writing? Like, do you have to have a cup of coffee? Do you have to be in a certain room or in a space? Is there something that really kind of gets you going as a writer?
I like to be I don't have to write in my office, but I prefer it. But mostly what I need is solitude. I just need to be not interrupted.
Yeah.
Right.
And part of that's my own fault, of course, because I hear the email ding.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like a little dog, oh,
Yep.
squirrel, squirrel.
Yeah.
Do you ever go back and have thoughts as like, for certain books thinking like, ooh, I wish I would have done that differently? Or are you kind of like when you're done with one and it's out, you kind of just out of sight, out of mind?
Yeah, once it's done, I'm on to the next book. I never go back and reread. Do you? What about with
No. No, because I'll have occasional times where I'll wake up in the middle of the night because I have 2 different series. And so I'll think of something and be like, oh, I kind of wish that person did that 2 books ago. But then I have to stop myself because I could spiral into,
Yes,
the
great
what
danger
ifs of the
there.
world.
Right.
Absolutely.
I know we have some writers and aspiring writers out there listening. What would you say is your number one ticket for having this wonderful, prolific career? What would you say is the one thing that has kept you going as a writer?
Knowing your core story, feeling passionate about it and sticking with it, not trying to write everything out there, not
Mhm.
trying to jump genres or jump just because something is trendy. You'll drive yourself nuts that way.
Yeah.
Um, but know your core story, and that's the themes and the conflicts that you like to. I mean, you should be able to sum up your core story in 2 or 3 words. For me, it's reinvention. All of my characters are in the process of reinventing themselves. I love to work from that premise. Things have changed in their lives, and they're having to reinvent themselves. I think that's a fascinating concept. And the other one is the risk of trust. My characters are always faced with that risk of trust. And I think everybody knows what that feels like, betrayal and risk, and can I trust them? And so I think it helps to pin down your core story. And I will say, for what it's worth, I think the foundational story for romantic suspense is the Gothic novel. And
For sure.
That's, I lean Gothic.
Yeah.
Is there any type of, is there a Gothic book or a Gothic author that you've kind of gravitated towards? Or in general, is there an author you reread if you kind of want to reset your brain?
Well, I love Simone St. James.
Oh, yes. Oh, I love Simone St. James.
She does ghosts, so she has that supernatural element in her stories. But I just like the voice, and I like the vibe of the characters a lot. There's a ton. There's an interesting book by Silvia Moreno Garcia called Mexican Gothic.
Yes, I remember reading that when it came out. That was an amazing book. I loved it.
Kind of fired up the whole interest in the modern Gothic. I think Isabel Cañas also writes Gothic. She writes them in the historical setting, and her book Hacienda is a great example of the Gothic with a true supernatural element. And Gothics don't always have that. The main element for the Gothic novel, and that I like to work around, that's why I say I lean Gothic, is a protagonist who is faced with pretty much being on her own, isolated, and she's surrounded by people she doesn't know if she can trust. She's also starting to question her own sanity. Did I actually see that? The whole gaslight thing, I think, is fascinating to work with, and a lot of women can identify with it. Oh, you're overreacting.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it, Jayne.
We all know how that feels, and it's not a big leap to find your heroine in that situation. And then the house, the whole claustrophobic setting. It doesn't have to be a house, but a house works very nicely. And again, readers can identify instantly with it because women have been trapped in the house for eons.
Yeah.
In so many ways. And it's just like the perfect kind of storms for romantic suspense, I think. So
I have one other random question. Is it hard for you to come up with character names since you've had so many books?
Yeah. When this book landed, the first thing that came in on the Facebook page is, oh, you did these character names in such and such a book. And I thought, oh, shoot.
Oh, no.
I should have, years ago I said, I've got to keep a list, and I just gave up. Part of the problem is, it's not that there aren't new names out there. It's just that I don't like them.
Well, yeah.
We like certain names, and I keep going back to the classics, like Luke and Jake and Emily, and yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those are timeless. I mean, there's still babies named those names.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you're writing, are you able to read as well? Because I know some writers just cannot read while they're writing, and I wasn't sure if that was something that you had to kind of just separate.
No, I don't have a problem with that. It's my reward.
Nice.
No, I don't have an issue with that. But you're right. A lot of people do.
Yeah, it's tricky. I find that I can't read, contemporary romance when I'm writing because I'm always afraid I'm gonna think of something later and be like, was that my idea or someone else's?
It's even if you did, I wouldn't worry about it because it's not going to come out the same. I mean,
that's true.
It's not like there's any new plots out there, Libby. I mean,
no, that's very true.
That's a good point.
Just and anything you can think of, I can tell you somebody thought of it before, but it will sound different. It'll be a different story. I learned long ago to stop worrying about that because it's the voice that matters. And what you do want to do is hone the voice so that it is distinctive, and that won't get copied. That won't get messed up.
That's true. One
of the problems with a voice, with learning about your own voice, for one thing, it's hard to figure out. I always say it's like your accent. You can't hear it, but everybody else does,
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a tendency, if you get involved with a writers group or a critique group, and I'm not saying they're bad, they're fine, they're great. We need that reinforcement. But you do want to make sure you're not in a group that's working to homogenize your voice.
Yes, yes. And
You
it's
don't,
hard to, especially even through the editing process, sometimes there's moments where it's like, oh, I can't, there's a reason you put something in. And so when people question it, it's like, oh no, do I take it out? Do I leave it in? Do I tweak it? That's I think for me,
yeah,
the hardest part is with the feedback and the editing is just,
trust your
knowing what is truly important.
trust your gut, because you really want to hone the edges on your voice. You want to make them memorable. You don't want to soften them.
Hmm.
Right.
Nobody remembers a soft voice, it's.
That's true.
What are you working on now, Jayne?
Right now, I am writing another book with a psychic dog.
Oh, I love it.
The sister of the heroine in the shop on Hidden Lane. The sister's name is Chloe, and she's the star of the next one.
Yes.
And there's another dog.
Oh.
There's another dog, yeah.
Okay, I had a feeling. Okay. Excellent. Well, Jayne, you're a delight. It's been fabulous talking with you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for spending time with us here on
Yes,
Romance
thank you
Roundup.
so much.
Anytime.
Oh, well then.
Don't say that because
Yeah, you don't want to put that out there.
yeah.
We'll be
You'll
contacting.
never get rid of us now.
Thank you for joining us, romance readers.
Happy reading, everyone.